We talk about cops gone wild. Let's go to Chicago. For the first time in more than a decade, a Chicago police officer has been indicted for shooting at a car full of 6 unarmed black teenagers, wounding 2 of them. A retired Cook County judge released the dash cam video of the 2013 incident to the Chicago Reporter. The video shows Officer Marco Proano fire his weapon 16 times into the car, which the Department of Justice has called, quote, unreasonable force. 2 teenagers were wounded and eventually won a settlement with the city of more than $300,000. Proano is charged with 2 counts of deprivation of rights under color of law. He faces up to 20 years in prison if convicted. Joining us via Skype from Chicago is Susan Richardson, the editor and publisher of the Chicago Reporter. Susan, it was tough getting this video. And again, another example of the city of Chicago doing their best to keep this under wraps so the public would not actually see the actions of this cop.
Well, first, good morning, Roland. I hate to tell you, it wasn't tough because of the acts of Judge Berman. He saw this video in a related trial and was so appalled by what he saw. He called the officer's behavior gangster-like. And then he also said in our first interview with him that if these had been white kids, this would not have been handled this way. So Judge Berman, who actually heard a related piece of the case, wanted us to have the video because he wanted it to be public. Keep in mind, in the civil case or in the investigation with the police department, what happened was that any communication about the case was under a protective order. So that video would not have been made public if not for Judge Berman, who was dealing with a related case, if he had not released that. So he took a stand because he was so horrified by what he saw in the video. And this is a man who was in 18 years.
So Susan, you're saying that if it wasn't for this, we would never see the video, and this officer would not be indicted on federal civil rights charges?
Well, I don't want to go that far. One, we would not have seen the video because there was a protective order as part of the settlement the city made with the teens and their attorney. But now the U.S. Attorney's Office has not said, well, it's because of the video that it's turned out this way. There was some looking into Proano prior to the release of this video, but you have to think having something that shows what we see in this horrific video had an impact.
Certainly, the fact that they actually secured this indictment is a huge deal because, frankly, one of the criticisms of the Department of Justice over the last several years is their inability to actually seek civil rights violations against cops who have shot at or killed African Americans and others.
No, that's quite true. And when you look at the situation here in Chicago, I mean, well, we're now on the map. A couple of points of context about this video. You know, everyone remembers the Laquan McDonald video. This was a case where we saw the police officer firing, once again, 16 times into the body of a young African-American man. This video showing the officer Proano firing into the car was actually released 5 months before the video of Laquan McDonald. I kind of want to go back to your first point about fighting. Part of the problem with these cases is these cities don't want these videos to go public. Part of the conversation you were having earlier, because no matter what you say, oh, you didn't see what happened before you saw, you know, the actual shooting or whatever happened, no matter what they say about that, the reality is that these videos have been powerful incentives, and they are sparking all sorts of change and putting pressure on these police departments. Now, we can definitely say, if not for the Laquan McDonald video, the city of Chicago would right now not be dealing with the U.S. Justice Department probe.
Susan Richardson, we surely appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Kickstart your day at 7 and get the news you need from the perspective you want. NewsOne Now with Roland Martin, every weekday morning at 7 on TV1.